Memento chuckled a bit, clearly enjoying the experience. The big lug got on his back, unzipped his pants. Ah! Ah! No! No! Wait! Expose what? Expose the whole thing! Wait, what? Oh! Oh! Oh, his belly! Oh! Oh my god, I am... Oh! At 3:05 a.m., during the dark of a drizzly morning, I finally succumbed to leukemia. Huh. Never thought they'd give me an open casket, funeral. Like completely buck naked. 4 years, huh? By the end, I wished I had only lasted one. I traced a finger over the corpse's cheek. Nothing. No sensation in my fingertips, nor a depression in the flesh. There's only total numbness. I stood, feeling completely weightless. My feet felt no pressure against the floor. Along with my touch, my sense of smell was also absent. The air should have been thoroughly drenched with the stinging odor of formaldehyde and embalming fluid. Yet, it was no more pungent than a glass of water. A mortician reached through my non-corporeal figure and dotted the body with several small metal discs. Damn. There was no one around when I finally passed. No one mourned me. No one wept. I wanted to know I meant something, that a part of the world was taken away. The mortician coughed and sprayed the air with a tinge of deodorant before he prepared the corpse for the flames. The body. God, it doesn't even look like me. The milky skin, dilated eyes, and a slack jaw barely covering the teeth. It's a limp hunk of meat that'll soon be ash. A tear dropped from my cheek and vanished into the floor. What am I even doing here? Is this some dying dream? Didn't I already kick the bucket? Or is this limbo? I mean, guess it's better than the alternative, down under. Then again, spending an eternity watching the world go by as I remain some kind of apparition sounds like an idea straight from Lucifer himself. Nah, I don't think Lucifer would have wanted us to suffer. Well, what else can I do? What am I supposed to do? I see the mortician prepare my casket for cremation. Seems like they'll be burning it all up soon. As disturbing as it is, part of me wants to see. Maybe I can phase into the oven and get a good look at the incineration of the body that once belonged to me. Maybe it's for the best. I'm dead. I turned away and walked towards the door. Instinctively, I reached for the handle, only for it to phase through my fingers. Still a dumb butt in death. I walked through the door, across the hall, and through the wall into the morning drizzle. Why is this visual novel so beautiful? Not a bad day to die, I guess. Weather's appropriate. I look up to the gorgeous gray sky, and I could almost feel the faint dapple of water on my face. During mornings like these, I'll curl up with a cup of coffee and simply stare out into the endless white fog. I'd gaze at nothing in particular, just enjoying the blankness of the city's canvas. I wandered outside the mortuary until I reached the garden. The spring rains had brought dazzling flower blossoms that adorned the edges of the pathways. They all lead to a tall fountain at its center. I approached the fountain and laid at its base. The pattering water provided a nice, soothing ambiance. If this truly isn't some dying dream, nothing seems to be stopping me from going anywhere I like. I wonder if they just forgot about me. Am I just a lone soul, consigned to wander around forever? That'd actually be fun for a century or so. I dipped a foot into the fountain, as expected. No ripples or chills. I couldn't rightly tell if it was actually submerged at first. Is this how I'm spending my afterlife? Playing around at a fountain outside some backwater mortuary? You enjoy the water too? Huh? A voice. Is someone there? I turned around and scanned my surroundings. I didn't see anyone. Up here, sir. Wait, what? Hi? What the frick? I collapsed, phasing partially into the ground. What are you? I'm sorry, Mari. I didn't mean to startle you. Let me hop on down. Hi. That thing threw itself off the statue and into the water. No splash. No, this has to be some sort of nightmare. Stay back. Please, just let me die, okay? No, you already did that, though. A few hours ago, actually. You finally passed away. So, don't worry. You are dead now. I can assure you. What are you talking about? The creature sighed and dragged a claw across its fur. He had a shaggy, pitch-black fur. It wavered delicately, as if exposed to a soft breeze. Ghostly petals tapered from his sleeves and tail, swirling around in the air for a moment before fading into oblivion. This demon knelt down in the water pool. He stared at me intensely with those hellish red eyes. Yeah, I'm sorry. Perhaps I should let you calm down first. You want me to calm down? I have no idea what's going on. Well, as I mentioned before, you're dead. However, you haven't been taken beyond yet. You're in the in-between, as I call it. Taken beyond. Yes, where all souls go. Ah, how rude of me. I should have introduced myself. I am Memento, your reaper and guide to the after. It extended one of its paws towards me. I stared blankly for an uncomfortable beat before the wolf creature retracted its arm. I am sorry. Was that inappropriate? I do apologize, Mori. I hope I did not offend you in any manner. You know my name. Of course, it would be rude not to. My nerves cooled a touch. If this thing was meant to harm me, assuming that's even possible, it would have done so by now. It spoke in a hushed tone, almost reserved. It was like the whispers of the wind. Memento. Yeah? Yes, sir! Is there anything you require? Can we roll back a bit? Because I have a lot of questions. Of course. Ask away. So, you reaped my soul. You took it out of my body. Yeah, well, no, actually. What? I mean, that is my job. My handiwork is quite excellent. You will find no other reaper with a more refined skill, I assure you. However, I did not take your soul myself. Usually I'm supposed to, but this time I just let the spirit leave the shell naturally. So, now you see me. Why? He's a reaper. My reaper. Why didn't he take my soul? What is this guy on about? God, if this is a dying dream, please just let me croak already. Why would you do that? I died hours ago, and only now you show up? Do you know what it's like gawking at your own corpse? Man, nothing by it, I assure you, sir. It's simply, He looked away and scratched the back of his ghostly scruff. I wanted to ask you something. Huh? Me? You want to ask me something? He nodded. What could I possibly tell you that you wouldn't already know? You're some kind of Grim Reaper spirit or whatever. What could I possibly do for you? Memento nibbled on his finger and looked anxiously to the side. I, wanted to know what it's like. Know what's like? What it's like to live. Yeah, I'm taking humans from all over the world to their final rest. The elderly, children, mothers, fathers, even newborns. I got all of them to the end. So why'd you make me wait so long? Well, I want to make sure you had time to process it all. I didn't want to jump in and bombard you with my inquiries just after you just died. Why specifically me? Memento tilted his head, seemingly pondering the question. I've done this for so long. My time with each human is short, perhaps a few minutes at most, but I always learn the most fascinating things. A mother once begged me not to take her from her family. She wept, cried, and cursed me. However, there was another time an elderly man embraced me with open arms. He thanked me for my arrival and walked with me peacefully. I am met with hatred, terror, disgust. Death must be so terrible, yes? The end of your waking life, the end of everything. Yet, I meet those who look back fondly at their life, those who seem content to leave, those who were happy. And it's those happy ones that makes me wonder, why? Still don't understand. There are people dying all over the globe at this very moment. Great scientists, people of families, war heroes. I mean, I'm just a 30-something-year-old screw-up who died young and alone. I'm no one. live my life as no one, and I'll be forgotten. It's all the same in the end. Everyone's forgotten eventually. Anyway, I decided it was the right time to pose my question. The right time. I guess I could have asked the last one, or the one before. I decided, Memento, you're going to ask the next one, and so I did. It was quite difficult too. I had to plan my inquiry properly. So, you spent the last few hours just thinking of how you were going to ask me. When you put it that way, it does sound quite cowardly. I must admit, but I wanted to make sure you were comfortable first before I dropped the question onto you. And seeing your reaction, perhaps it wasn't executed most perfectly. So you're asking me just on a whim. Out of the millions of people, I just so happen to be the one. That's about the extent of it, yes. What if I decline? Memento frowned and looked away. Well, then I will simply take you beyond like the rest. Beyond? What is there beyond? There is nothing to be afraid of. Memento's ears twitched. It's very peaceful. Peaceful. Yes, eternal bliss, some may say, and is where everyone goes. I nearly fell to my knees then and there. Eternal happiness. I will get to live in pure bliss for the rest of eternity. The thought of it was almost too overwhelming. What would it be like? Who would I get to see? The visages of important historical figures, great film stars, and genius academics raced through my mind. I get to go there, to enjoy paradise, forever. No kidding. You're not kidding me, are you? What do you think? Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, God, thank you. Or whoever's in charge here. Joyous tears welled up in my eyes. I didn't even bother to try to wipe them away. After everything I experienced, something amazing finally happens, and it's the greatest thing imaginable. I turned to Memento, bearing a beaming smile. I could at least try to help him, considering the good news he just delivered. So, you want to know the meaning of life? I mean, I don't think I could tell you. I wouldn't know where to start. There are people who have dedicated their entire lives to that question. Philosophers who... Oh, I guess I met one, Mr. Hegel. It was quite the interesting fellow, I must say. He did not take his reaping quite well, I must admit. And he talked in droves. Must have been an hour before I could convince him to just go away. Oh, Lord, philosophers, am I right? Jeez. Interesting man. Shame I cannot speak to him again. So, if I tell you what you want to know, then what do I get? Do I get to return? His eyes flicked to the side and he cocked a brow peculiarly. My apologies, but no. You are deceased, Mori. There is no returning. So what if I run? Memento stopped for a moment and stared directly at me. His red eyes widened into blood-red moons. You could run to the end of the universe, but I would still be there to take you away. There is no being that can escape me. None ever have, and certainly none ever will. He explained flatly. It's simply how it is. For once, his gentle demeanor peeled back and gave way to something otherworldly. His voice chilled my bones to their marrow. I swallowed a heap of lead and receded. Do not mistake me, Mori. It would be unpleasant. A moment had passed and the chill vanished. It was replaced by a slight, warm smile. However, I will offer you extended time to make peace with things. It is morning now. I must take you beyond by sunset. You have all day to show me. Perhaps you can make peace with your departure. Many would give anything to have one final moment with the ones they love, to actually say farewell, or to amend the bridge that has long been burned. So I'll get to make peace with everything if I tell you what it means to be, well, me. Yes, that is the extent of it. Nothing more, nothing less than that. Looked to the overcast sky. The cloud parted, giving way to a sunbeam. Me. I'm the one who gets to find closure. Not the mother, Memento, tore away from a family. Not a young lover who never got to see their significant other again. Just me, the man who has nothing. What's there even to lose? I turned to face Memento. He shifted around in anticipation, biting his lower lip with a knife-sharp fang. Closure, huh? What's a few hours compared to an eternity? Fine then, I'll help you. A snaggletooth grin spread across his face. Oh, most excellent! You have my eternal gratitude! He reached out a paw, offering to pull me up out of the fountain's pool. Need a paw, my friend? I grabbed Memento's paw. For once, there was something tangibly there. It was almost uncanny. He hoisted me up, and I could feel the strength of his forearm, the brush of his fur, and the coolness of his paw. Memento held my hand for a few seconds, staring intently. Oh, my apologies. You humans are always so warm. The sun sliced through the heavy overcast, and the city was coming to life with activity. Children prepared for school, and adults began commuting to their 9 to 5. Everything was so normal. Life continued, unabated. So then, where should we go? I don't know. You don't know? Well, I'm not sure. I want to see what kind of joys you could explain to me. Joys? Yes, joys! The things that make humans smile, the things that they look back on fondly. They always speak of things like family, loved ones, or material items that gave them great joy. If humans did not have these joys, then what reason would they have to be so distraught by my arrival? Joy must be the key, yes? I guess. In a sense, everything we do is in service of maximizing our happiness. Be it money, a loved one, material items, as you described. So show me! Show you? Yes, show me joy! You had a joy, did you not? Damn, been a long while since I've thought about that. When was I last happy? I skirted around the fountain and sat on the side facing the city. Memento hopped up beside me, legs crossed and arms leaning on his knees. He stared at me curiously like a child expecting an answer. When was I last happy? Obviously, not any time within the past few years, but even before then, before I pushed everyone away. I delved deep, reaching into my past. Moonlit Waltz. Huh? It was a play I was in. God, way back when. It was about a star who fell in love with a man on Earth. It was all about the differences, their growing connection, and all that. But the star had to return home once. Well, since she was a star, she had no choice. But before she left, she and the man danced in the starlight one final time. Oh! He was fully invested now, ears perked and eyes wide. If they weren't so bloodshot, I dare say he'd look like a puppy of sorts. And that's what you remember, yes? So, show me! Show me! Well, I can't really show you. It happened a long time ago. Ah, right. That is true. Memento sprung up from the fountain's edge. In that case, when did this play happen? I'm not sure. I was big into theater during college, like 10 years ago maybe. It's around that time. 10 years! Got it! What do you do? Before I could finish that thought, Memento snapped his fingers and the entire city swirled into a vortex. What did you do? Going back! Sing a memory and all that! Here we go! This must be it! Last night, I met a star. She was the most beautiful star you've ever seen. Who are you? Your hair, your body. You came from the sky. Yes, I traveled so very far to arrive here, through endless space and past innumerable planets, many you never would have imagined existed. And on my journey, I have arrived here, to this meadow, with you. I don't believe it. This must be a dream. This is my chorus community theater, just as I remembered it. I stood at the very back of the bleachers, watching the actors from above. You, what is your name? Oh my lord, is that what I sounded like? Wow. I turned to face Memento, who was sitting half-face into an elderly woman. You gotta get up? Oh, I didn't even notice. Apologies, ma'am. This is your theater. His eyes were alight with awe at the half-butted set and poor lighting. It's a little derelict. I think they were renovating while the show was in production. I see! Memento walked through a couple seats towards the stage. Come on! Want to get a closer look? What? Nothing I could do to stop him, I guess. I took the central staircase instead, careful to avoid facing through anyone. The scene transitioned and the set shifted. You tell stories like this, but nothing's changed. Wasn't this the same place as before? Please require some suspension of disbelief. Like here, we're supposed to be back inside a house. You can see over where the technicians are moving some furniture on set. Oh, so it's up to your imagination then, I suppose. And this is what gives humans the joy. These playthings. Ha! Well, if you're good enough of an actor, then perhaps. On cue, my character ran in, opening the door in an overdramatic, frantic fashion. Father! Father! You would not believe what just happened! Oh, brother! Memento pointed gleefully. That's you! That's you! Yeah, sure is. So, tell me more. About? About plays! All these theatrics and stuff. Oh, you must have been so happy, yes? Well, I suppose. Happy. Was I happy here? I glanced at my character who was telling the story of his chance encounter with the star. The delivery, the enunciation, the stuttering. God, how'd I even get this part? I looked into my own eyes. That was passion. That was excitement. This must have been the first showing. I remember staying up all night. Butterflies fluttering like crazy. The nerves, anxiety. Then, finally going on stage to perform. Poor kid. He has no idea. No idea what comes next. Look at him. So full of aspiration. So full of dreams. I wanted to become a star on Broadway. To show the world my talent and my passion. Perhaps it was doomed from the start. What? How do you mean? This kid had a dream, Memento. Something he clung to harder than anything else. Something that drove him to walk forward every day. Amid all the stuff in school, amid the pain of other circumstances. And is that what joy is? A dream? Could be. What happens if that dream is impossible? I bit my lip and looked downwards. Now, that's the real problem, isn't it? But you look so happy! Because I was a dumb kid who thought I could make it. I grew up on Julie Andrews and Fred Astaire. It's kind of sad to look at it. But you are happy here, yes? So how could that be sad? It's a crapshoot, Memento. A game of luck that was never in the cards for me. No money to be made in it, as my father was so kind to point out. So, what did you pursue instead? It was something he insisted was a safer bet. Maybe he was right. The play continued. Being incorporeal did have its benefits since I didn't get tired from standing around. While I moaned every time I had a line, Memento's tail wagged uncontrollably. Dev's a cute little puppy dog, huh? Who would have thought? At least someone enjoyed my acting. It was a simple story, the performance spanning an hour and a half tops, a story about romance that was never meant to be. Memento seemed most interested by the star. He kept asking questions about her like, why is she so reluctant to love the boy back? Or, why does the boy love her so much in the first place? At one point, he even took to the stage and wandered around as an intense scene played out between the star and my character's father. I reflexively yelled at him to get down, but then I remembered that we were merely reliving a memory. It took me a moment to figure out what he was doing. Memento stood by the star as she argued with the father. He mimicked her affectations and tried mouthing her lines. There was a moment where the star paused. She had fumbled over a line. For a second, the theater was still. Even Memento had his eyes trained heavily on her. The peering gaze of the audience, the mounting pressure of that singular moment, though it was merely a memory, I felt my heart stop, just as it did all those years ago. She stumbled again and again. These were not mistakes. She was doing it on purpose. In the original script, there was no stumbling, but here, she took her mistake and rolled with it. Her voice became coarse and she stuttered, in response to the father's angered tone. God, She was amazing. Memento hopped off after this and sidled over beside me. Much harder than it looks, yeah? And you have to be in front of the whole crowd. Not sure if I could do that. I'm only ever seen by one person at a time. That girl, the star, she was wonderful. Yeah, she sure is. I stared at the star wistfully to hear her voice again after so long. Mori, yeah? You're right there. Yeah, I'm fine. Before long, the final scene had arrived. Back at the first set, where the whole play began, the field dimmed a soft blue. My dear, please! There must be another way! The star looked silent and bit her lip. Like me, she was so natural, her acting, subtle yet effective. She portrayed reticence with a slight glance to the ground, anxiety with the beginnings of a stifled sentence. What was I doing with someone like her? You have taught me many things, my love. But I am a star, and a star must continue its journey across the sky. I know, it is painful, my dear, but it is my nature, my purpose for being. It's just how it is. My character collapsed, clawing at his face. Honestly, that cry acting wasn't nearly as bad as I remember. The star walked forward, but my character grabbed her by the wrist. Just one more thing. There was a hush as the characters faced each other. I haven't taught you how to dance yet. The star's eyes flickered, mouth held agape. No, I suppose not. I placed a hand on her waist. Just one more, if you must go. Like this? My character shook his head. No, like this. Whoa! God, she was wonderful. I remembered every step I took was painstakingly choreographed, but for her, it came so effortlessly. She didn't deserve to be stuck with an oaf like me. Memento swayed to and fro with the music, though his movements were certainly much less refined. The actors twirled, and in response, the wolf twirled as well. A bit too much, and he tumbled to the ground. He laughed it off and continued staring at the dance. This was the pride of the show, the climax, the part everyone was waiting for. Oh, wow. So, what'd you think? It was so good! The ending dance, my goodness! Memento swayed back and forth, mimicking the emotions. Could you show me? Show you? The moves. He nodded happily. Well, this happened over a decade ago. I don't think I remembered the choreography. Memento's ears dropped in disappointment. Did this answer all your questions? Well, somewhat. I'm still unsure what you mean by dream. A joy cannot be just that, can it? What about a sunset? Or the smell of a pretty flower? Well, I suppose, but... Ooh, or belly rubs! You get belly rubs? Sometimes when I reap a dog lover, they ask me for one last pet. I must admit, they are quite pleasing. I did always want a dog. Nice fluffy one. They're amazing creatures. So intelligent and affectionate. Like me? Memento said with an innocent look on his face. Well, you certainly got the look down. Alas, wasn't meant to be. Too much work, my dad would say. Too much responsibility. So, a loving pal who is by your side, is that a source of joy? Well, I suppose that could be one source of happiness as well. Well, I hope I can suffice in that role for now. Well, you're doing adequately. But back to the whole joy thing. They're, fleeting. I mean, isn't that life? I suppose. But those are different. A pretty flower, a sunset, or belly rubs will gratify you in that moment. An ambition, however, that's a goal for the long term, perhaps your whole life. Some get to achieve it, while others, I watched a lot of classical movies during my childhood. Lots of big dancers, singers, and thespians from the 50s and 60s. I remember staring at the screen in awe of what I was witnessing. The colors of the films, the passion in their voices and movements, they were utterly enchanting. A feeling of captivation blossomed inside me. It made me want to do the same for others. To stand on a fancy stage somewhere, in the lens of a big camera, and to broadcast my talent to all of the world. I so desperately wanted that dream. I wanted people to be mesmerized by me. I wanted it so badly. It was my raison d'être. I'm not sure how to further answer your question. I'm sorry. No, it's fine. I think you illustrated it quite well, Mori. Well, let's get this over with soon, so I can enjoy eternity. You probably got much better plays up there. Know if I'll ever get to meet Gene Kelly or someone? I could spend all forever learning from the greats. Well, let's not be too hasty now. It's the last time you're ever going to see Earth. I would suggest you appreciate it before you're gone. I was about to respond when Memento's ears perked up. What's that? He faced the stage. The cast had finally finished doing their bows and were returning backstage. Memento was focused on the girl who played the star. She had dark skin and braided black hair that tumbled down shoulder length. Her name was Stella. If this is my memory, then... I looked closer at Stella as she walked off stage. Her eyes looked red. The light caught the glisten of tears. Past me and followed right behind her. What's going on there? Memento leaped onto the stage and followed the two. Hey, wait! The wolf followed Stella, my past self, backstage. Now, Stella was audibly weeping. Poor Mori. Past Mori lay a hand on her shoulder, and she turned to face him. Come on, let's go somewhere quieter. The other castmates shot her concerned glances, but past Mori shielded her from view and led her to the changing rooms. He didn't show up. Come on, he must have been in the crowd. Did you see your mom? Stella nodded. Almost there, but he promised me. No matter what happened with Mom, he said he'd see me here. Stella, I just wanted him to be here. Like before. Memento sidled up beside past me, looking curiously at the weeping girl. What's happening? Stella knelt down and buried her face in her hands. Why? Why did they have to? I know what you're going through, Stella. Never blame yourself. It was their decision. He never did enjoy these plays. Always said it was a waste of time. Maybe he's right. You know what? Your dad is a piece of garbage. Abandoning you like that? Crushing your dreams? What kind of parent does that? Leaving you to suffer in the wake of their own issues. They're awful. Scum on earth. Forget about them. Stella looked shocked and stared at my past self, unblinking. I'm sorry. Just forget about that. Please, stay strong. You're an amazing actress. You'll do great things. My God. He knelt beside Stella and offered a hug. She nodded, and within a moment, we were locked in a tight embrace. Memento's ears perked, his eyes wide with curiosity as he approached the two. A beat slipped by, then past me, let go of Stella and stood back up. I'll be here if you need me. If you need time alone. Stella nodded. My past self approached the door to rejoin the rest of the cast. Just as his fingers wrapped around the knob, he froze in place. What did you do? Lost the memory. Why? You were leaving. Yeah, and? Memento turned to Stella, who was still kneeling. He approached her, looking intently at her face. What was that? Why was she weeping? I mean, I don't see how it's much of your business. Memento turned to me, confused. These are mortal affairs, yes? Well, I guess you're right on that front. So why do you hesitate? There's no reason not to. Still, I feel like a piece of poo for talk about it, even after I'm dead. Why? It's just because I'd feel guilty regardless, even if it really doesn't matter anymore. Guilty? He looked away from me for a moment, almost as if the word had caught him off guard. Are you familiar with this emotion, Memento? It's when you feel ashamed of how your own actions have affected others, be it lying or about something or pushing someone you care about away. Memento stared blankly for a few seconds. I see. Interesting. Immediately, as if to veer right away from the subject, he turned to Stella. You embraced this girl. Did you love her? She was a close friend. No, I would not say I was romantically interested. More into men, actually. Though, I never found anyone. No one? Yeah, just how it goes. Some were taken, while for others, it was just the wrong time. Would you have liked someone? A significant other? Someone to whom you deliver a lovely kiss like you did at the end of the show? Well, sure would have been nice. And this romance. I've ferried off many who have had romantic connections in their lives. It's the biggest source of grief I find. Could you explain this romance to me? It's a common thread amongst those I've taken away. Well, you don't need to be with someone to be happy. I knew plenty of people content with being on their own, and for them, that was plenty fine. But did you want to be with someone? It really doesn't matter what I want to now, does it? I see. I apologize. Aww. Memento pushed its snout close to Stella's ear. The wolf then threw a pair of fuzzy arms around her static body. I hope things turn out well for you, miss. I hope you don't see me too soon. Memento stood back up. Why'd you do that? Because you did it. You did a hug, and so did I. Yeah, but it wouldn't have affected her. This isn't even her, it's just a memory. Yeah. So why? Memento tilted his head and pondered for a moment. Like you said, just because. She just put on such a stunning performance, and now here she is, crying backstage. I also wish to understand this. This. Yes. Pain, I believe you call it. Not pain of the body, pain of the heart, the soul. There are almost always tears when I reap someone. They're so deeply sad. But then I meet some who are glad for it all to be over. Pain's alive, now gone and forever. Things they never have to deal with anymore. This pain is what I'm speaking of. You want to learn about sorrow? I mean, you're the Reaper. You should know all about that. I'm talking about living sorrow, the sorrow of life. I am death. I feel everyone with at least a bit of sorrow. So, what about your sorrow? You should know already how I died. Yes, but I wish to understand it. You want me to show you that miserable process I spent the last 4 years dealing with? I don't want to remember it. I don't want to relive that hell. I understand your trepidation. Truly, it's a massive ask. But please, just let me see. You don't have to watch yourself. The wolf clasped their paws together, begging. Do I want to see it again? Do I want to see it all over? Do I want to see her again? Closure. That's all I want here. Maybe it'll reveal something. Maybe it'll show something different. Fine, just don't expect me to be too enthused. Memento's tail wagged heavily, sending petals splittering left and right. My deepest thanks, sir! Memento snapped his digits. Again, the world swirled into a vortex, going back. I wonder if I made the right choice here. One day, I noticed lumps that dotted the back of my neck. Thought nothing of it back then. Cysts, perhaps. They'd go away eventually. They never did. I called my doctor and I was assigned a hematologist. The waiting. God, the endless waiting. It was nothing. I'd be fine. The results returned. Chronic lymphocytic leukemia, CLL. A rare and aggressive form of blood cancer. Treatment resistant, they said. I knew what they really meant. An 80% survival rate for 5 years. Though incurable, it was an optimistic statistic. I only lasted 4 years. Interestingly, I felt nothing. When the word chronic escaped the doctor's lips, everything became dreamlike. My dreams, my ambitions, my life. As they described my options, all I could think about was my own regrets. I graduated college with a bachelor's in computer science. Though I longed for the stage, reality pulled me to my senses. Maybe if I hadn't been in this position, afflicted by a disease that would addle me for the rest of my life, that would have been the right call. The money to be made, my father would repeat. But after death, that didn't matter. Maybe I could have made something of myself in those short years between then. Computers weren't terrible, but... What happened? The first year. That first year. I never imagined something so hellish could be experienced by the human mind. There was a void that ate away at you more than cancer. The tests, the trials, the medication. The first month I spent in chemo, then came the radiation therapy, every day of the week. By the end of each session, I was disgorging heaps of bile into the sink. I was parched, but no matter how much I drank, never stayed down. And all that. For what? I knew what lay ahead a few years down the line. Knew things would never get better. After the relapse, I made the decision to stop treatment. Year 2, things had gotten worse physically, but my mind, on the other hand, I think I accepted it by that point. One day, there was bleeding under my skin. My platelet counts was dangerously low. It'd be the first of many emergency room visits for the rest of my short life. It was getting more aggressive. My lymph nodes were so bloated they felt like rocks grafted out beneath my skin. The first visit to the emergency room, I thought it'd finally be the end. Sadly, they managed to save me and put me back in a stable enough state to rest. What? Days spent in the hospital room were long and arduous. I would often think back then about my time with my theater buddies and how everything was so close-knit. But after each play, invariably, some pieces of the group would fade off, away to pursue other interests. Even Stella, who stuck by me since 3rd grade, vanished unexpectedly. One day I saw her again. Apparently she heard about my condition through mutual friends. And like me, she was positively radiant, glowing brightly like the star she was. We sat together, reminiscing on days long past. She was doing pretty well for herself, not on Broadway, but apparently doing some commercials on television. She described all the new people she got to meet, all the hope for a bright future laid out before her. She was happy. She had hope. She had a dream that was within her grasp. She talked about wanting to star in a movie, and how she'd make sure I got some role in it as well. Thanks for the pity, but I think I'll pass. I don't believe I'd be that great, I'm afraid. Kinda hard to be a good actor when you're, well, dying. You're pretty fortunate to get to do all these things. I'd hate to bring you down. You're a lucky girl, Stella. More than you could ever know. She gave me a peculiar look. Sorry. I think the meds are messing with me. Well, be sure to ask your doctors about that. We lingered for an awkward beat before she spoke again. I'm really sorry, but I need to go. I'll be sure to visit you again soon. She hugged me. It's great catching up with you, Maury. I nodded. Yeah. Such a lucky girl. So lucky. Hospice care came by the 3rd year. At this point, I was a dead man walking. Though amidst my deterioration, before the coming expiration date, they sure treated me nicely. Games, free massages, and end-of-life consultation. Not too shabby, I don't think. My new home was a dedicated building off the side, where I'd spend my final days. It was all already sorted out by then. Once I kicked the bucket, the funeral services would be on the scene immediately. All of my assets would go to my father, what little I had anyway. My fate was written, and all I could do was sit around and wait for the sand to run out. By then, I loathed myself for that damn computer science degree. 4 years of study. For what? Some soulless programming job I couldn't care less about? 2 years of boring but financially stable work. was tolerable. Couldn't complain if it meant I'd be supporting myself. Even knowing now how it all turned out, the move I made was likely the safest option. Like Dad said, for a person like me, going into the arts would have been financial suicide. Some kid who enjoyed community theater, aiming for a chance at stardom off Broadway, barely got into a 75% acceptance rate university. Juilliard certainly wouldn't have given me a passing glance. Juilliard, I don't know. Yeah, at this point, what did it matter? I only had a scant few years of real life, adult life, and they were all wasted on something I cared nothing about. Perhaps I could have at least withered away with the satisfaction of knowing I tried and failed, as opposed to never having tried at all. Stella visited once more. It was winter, and the windows were glazed with frost. Stella was adorned with a gaudy sweater, colored a lurid yellow. There was a sparkle in her eyes, a grin of excitement. Something huge had happened. You seem happy. I got it! I got the part! Huh, did you now? The voice rang out like a tropical bird. My agent managed to shoo my way into a pretty big movie, Maury. Her eyes beamed with joy. I'd swear she burst from the excitement. I forced a smile, nodding along as she explained just how proud she was of herself. So proud. So happy of her future. We did it, Maury. We did it. We? My smile broke. We did it. Stella, I know I'm dying, but come on. You don't really need to. You don't really need to kid me. Expression froze as she chuckled nervously. Well, is that what you came here to tell me? About the exciting new life you get to live? I just thought that'd make you happy. Yeah, that makes me feel amazing, alright. I'm sorry. Did I? No, you're fine. Everything's fine. You know, except for my numbered days, everything's fine. Maury, I thought it'd help. Help? You thought it'd help? I sat straight up and stared directly into her eyes. I don't need your help, Stella. I don't want it. You have to understand, there's nothing you or anyone can do to make any of this okay. It's pointless. Ugh. Why would you even bother with me? Are you unable to grasp the fact that maybe I don't want to be reminded of what I could be doing? Alright, that's not... Look at me! I tore my hospital gown away, revealing my diseased skin, blotched black and blue from internal bleeding. The bumps won't get any smaller. My hair bleached white after the treatment. Look at me! Look at me and tell me this is okay! I just want dignity. I just want to go with dignity. I'm prodded day in, day out, babied every day, trapped in this godforsaken hole of misery. Maury, stop, please. I know you're going through so much. I want to be there for you. I want to help you. I understand your pain. You understand? How could you possibly understand any of this? You're on your way to a glamorous, successful, fulfilling life, and I'm on my way to an early grave. By now, Stella's eyes were red. A glistening bead of tear rolled down her cheek. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for any of this, Maury. But please, don't take it out on me. Let me tell you something. Did I feel satisfied? Maybe a bit. Like some justice had been earned. It was the most pathetic thing you could ever imagine. I pushed away. I made sure of that. And then, I know I shoved the last person who cared, even a little, away for good. I was well and truly. Alone? What time is it anymore? How long will it be until it's done? I had no sense of when anything was. I would wake up each night, confused and scared. I could barely recognize the faces of the nurses. The end had arrived. My body was finally giving in. I had no interest in the games, no interest in the massages. The only thing I wanted to do was simply lay there, staring up at the ceiling with eyes half closed and mouth slightly agape. The pain had gotten unbearable, and I spent most of the days addled by agony that the medication only slightly subdued. One night, the night before I died, I dreamt about Mom and Dad again. They were actually together, smiling. It was lovely. Dad had made a smoked brisket sandwich, glazed with barbecue sauce. Even then, in my dying stupor, I could remember the tingling sensation of its sweetness on my tongue. Mom would laugh just alongside him. We even invited Stella over for some games. There was no particular passage of time, no real linearity to it all. One moment I was there with them, then I was middle-aged, nice and wealthy with several children and a loving husband. My parents were now elderly, so I took them on a nice tour of Europe. The way they looked so happy together as they stared at the Eiffel Tower. It felt real. There was another dream, one where I was still an infant, barely coherent with language. I showed my parents finger painting. They laughed, very proud of their son's incoherent splattering of colors on the canvas. It was intended to depict a dog, the one I always wanted. A dog. Yeah, a nice big dog. Remember begging for one when I was 5, but my dad strictly forbade it. Too much work, he said. Too much responsibility. I wanted him to be cool, big and strong, but affectionate. Someone who'd protect me and sit by my side during rainy days. Someone who could hug, feel their warmth, let the woes of life wash away in their embrace. Someone who would never. We're back. That's how it went then. You saw it yourself. Humans do often tell me of their suffering at the hands of illness. Does that disturb you? It's nature. This may sound disrespectful, but truly I've seen it all. I did not witness your unfortunate demise just to experience the human suffering. I understand that it exists. Understand more than you could ever know. But I must ask, why? What do you mean? Like, why we live in the first place if it all ends the same with you? No, as selfish as it may sound, I wonder why I must exist. I was placed into this world as a means of taking you beyond, to take you to your final resting place. Beyond the instinct that is engraved into the very fiber of my being, I cannot understand the purpose of it. Things must change. Things must end. That I truly understand, and exist to perform. But the suffering, the sheer suffering of knowing I'm around the corner. Then, why are you so chipper? Chipper? Yeah, you're nothing like I would have imagined. I was never sure there was an afterlife, much less a canine psychopomp who'd guide me there. You've seen thousands upon thousands of years of death and decay. You said yourself, you've taken children, mothers, families. Those stricken with disease or those taken by freak twists of fate. You really have seen it all, haven't you? So why do you care so much, Memento? Why do you care so much about our fleeting little lives if they are so transient? I didn't always. Early on, life was simple. I'm talking way early on, before humans roamed the earth. Then, it was easy. Survival of the fittest. Eat or be eaten. Our job was simply to take care of the spiritual remains. As time progressed, as creatures evolved, they gained intelligence. And so did we Reapers. I can't remember much of my early days, but this, Memento motioned to himself, it's nothing like what I was a million years ago. But that was par for the course with evolution. Things changed, but the constants remained the same. Survival of the fittest. Dispose of the organisms that have met their end, be it a sea sponge that is starved in its primordial muck, or a towering dinosaur suffocating from the debris of an asteroid. But when humans began walking the earth, everything changed. The intelligence they gained, they attained heights we could have never predicted. They crafted artwork, culture, and legacy that far exceeded any previous life form. Indeed, the world had begun to revolve around the perception of these new creatures, and so too did we Reapers need to revolve. As I said before, I can't recall much from a time before the humans. It was all primal, mindless, you could say. But soon, we grew to reflect them. Their philosophies, their desires, their bonds. The end goal was no longer to continue evolution, but rather to seek out the most fulfilling happiness an individual could experience. And perhaps, as I grew to read more humans, heard their stories, their sorrows, their joys, I believe I grew to create my own philosophies as well. I will never go away, Mori. I am a fundamental to the existence of life. The Reapers change, and we evolve to fit new life forms. So what will I be like in a few thousand years? So much culture has changed. In the past 1,000 years I've spent reaping humans. I've changed so much in these couple millennia. So perhaps in a million years, when humans are long extinct, what will become of this me, this Memento? I'm chipper and kind because I've grown with this sort of human experience, but when that changes... Oh, you big lug. What's so funny? So this whole song and dance we've been doing, it's just so... It's cause you've been having an existential crisis? Well, when you put it like that... So you put me through all of this to help you come to terms with death. When you are death! Memento chuckled. If you knew the Grim Reaper was a stupid puppy dog in need of a big head pat and belly rub, I don't think anyone will be afraid of death. Seeing you questioning your own existence, what does it even mean? That's like basic human philosophy. So as far as understanding our little plight, I'd say you're doing pretty well for yourself, Mem. It is quite vexing, I must admit, all this complexity. I would be lying if I said I didn't yearn for the simplicity of the Cambrian period. To sit on the fountain edge next to Memento. But back then, you couldn't get a nice belly rub. Trilobites aren't exactly the most affectionate organisms I've taken. Memento placed 2 paws on his fuzzy stomach and shook it around. But now it seems humans have a soft spot. So I decided to make this belly rounder so there's more surface area. It's worked quite well for me, I must say. Well, I think it looks good on you, I said as I stroked its surface. Maybe keep it for the next era. It was cool to the touch, like the opposite end of a pillow. I wanted to rest my head on it. Memento chuckled a bit, clearly enjoying the experience. The big lug got on his back, unzipped his pants. Ah! Ah! No! No! Wait! Expose what? Expose the whole thing! Wait, what? Oh! Oh! Oh, his belly! Oh! Oh my god, I am... Oh! Oh my god! You're honestly quite adorable. I try to be. It makes bringing the bad news much easier for some folks. He's really adorable. His fur, his stupid face. Memento peered up at me. Your face! What about it? You look red, like a big cherry. What? Why would I? Ugh. I buried my face in my hands. Humans do that when they're... I know. How peculiar. I must say, you humans and your proclivities never cease to surprise me. Did you ever read Freud? He did mention something called the death drive. I was going to, but a woman in Algeria broke her neck while trying to clean a window, so another Reaper had to go about it. From what the other Reaper told me, it seems I was quite fortunate with only having ever dealt with Eagle. Memento rubbed the scruff of his thick neck. Yeah. Memento had a distant look in his eyes as he turned away from me. I guess today it took a lot out of this death deity. Me as well. I looked up at the sky. Brilliant hues of red and orange painted behind thick wisps of clouds. The sun was falling at a steady rate, approaching the end of the day, at the end of my journey. I stroked Memento's fur, but there was a peculiar lack of reaction from him. He kept looking away from me, cheating his head the other direction. Eventually, Memento quickly pushed off his stomach and he said, looking troubled. Hey, you're right. In truth, no. What's bothering you? Memento then turned his gaze to me, and I was met with sorrowful expression, one I had never seen from the wolf until now. He looked tormented, like something was eating him from inside. Mori, how important is the truth to you? What? If the truth were to bring you more anguish than a blissful lie, wouldn't it be better to live that lie until the end? Memento, what are you saying? All this affection, all this praise, it has only been an afternoon and yet I feel close to you. Memento, can you get to the point? There was something wrong. I could feel it. Mori, I feel this strong burning emotion within me. It's the shame, guilt. Guilty of what? Mori, I have deceived you. What do you mean? Well, this time I thought it'd make the process easier, but I couldn't help but feel this overwhelming burden atop my shoulders as the day progressed. Memento stared up at the sky, which had become progressively darker as the sun continued its journey behind the horizon. But I believe I owe you the truth. As your friend, Mori, when I told you before that I knew what was after, no, I was not being truthful in my sentiment. There's no way. What do you mean? Memento got up from the fountain and looked me in the eyes. A deep anguish was rolling within him as he selected his next words. Mori, there's no paradise. What? My jaw fell slack in shock. The world seemed to slow. Then, what lies beyond the final horizon? Nothing. Nothing. Not even us Reapers know. There's no trace left. Not a hint. The body returns to the earth, and the spirit returns to the universe. What truly happens to your consciousness, you have no way of knowing. But in all likelihood, then expect anything to lie beyond the last horizon. This is loss of me entirely. Loss of consciousness itself. How could you? How could you lie to me about this? Most humans, when confronted with oblivion, it's impossible for them to truly grasp it. They begin losing themselves in despair. Many humans indeed ponder, are even certain that there's nothing after death. To receive the explicit truth from me, it breaks them. I simply wanted to... To what? To alleviate the anxiety as we explored your past. So you lied to me about eternity because it was convenient? I was promised the greatest reprieve I could imagine. An eternity of paradise after the hell I endured on Earth. I went through all of this just for you to satisfy your stupid curiosity? What did I get in the end? Nothing. That's it. Do you immortals comprehend oblivion? Is it even possible? And ask you the same. Can you? Whenever I picture death, imagine eternal black, the sea of black in which I could exist forever. That implies consciousness. What lies beyond exceeds any human's comprehension. Nothing. Pure oblivion. This... I knew it was too good to be true. Truly, how could a death deity understand? Why would it care? To this thing, I'm a fleeting little gnat. No, even less than that. I'm just a tiny blip. Even if this Reaper feels guilty, 1,000 years from now, it won't have mattered. Memento will continue to exist until the end of time, perhaps until the very last life form takes its terminal breath and the universe collapses in on itself. But me, is all I have. This is all that I am. No. No! No! I shoved Memento aside. You can't do this to me! I'm well and truly sorry, Mari. There's nothing you can do. Screw you! I am running! I ran. Without a body or energy to waste, I could run as fast as I wanted and never slow down. The world was a blur, a blitz of color and light. No, he can't. He can't do this to me. It can't end this way. The life I lived, Left nothing behind but regret and suffering. I don't deserve any of this! Just please, let me exist! Mori, you can't run. His voice came in from all directions. I couldn't tell where from. All I could do was keep running. Get away from me! Oh, God. It's like I'm being eaten up by Ragnarok itself. I twisted around and dashed yet away. There has to be somewhere. Somewhere! Mori, please. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Stop following me! I have to run. Somewhere. Somewhere that's safe. He's behind me. I can feel it. Paddles. He danced in the corner of my vision. I have to run. I have to get out of here. I have to escape. Please. God. Hi! Stop. This. At once. I told you. There's no outrunning me. This goes no further. Do you understand? Why? It doesn't have to be like this. It's just how it is. It's time. Where am I? It was pure silence, not a hushed murmur, but rather total, engulfing, absolute silence. The water was so still, it looked solid. There was no wind to brush the flowers that dotted the landscape. No sounds of birds chirping or insects buzzing. Memento offered his paw and I took it. We walked closer to the wall. It was soft, yet I felt as though no force on earth could sever its grasp. The boards were silent as we strode across, not even the faintest thumping of wood. Silence. It was pure silence. Memento turned to me and sighed. Well, my friend, this is it. I approached the wall, brushed my hand against its petals. They danced around the tips of my fingers, but I couldn't feel them. I retracted my hand and the petals receded in a splash of red. Looking up, the wall extended far, far into the sky. At both sides, they stretched beyond the horizon towards infinity. You may have a seat here. You can take as long as you like. Thank you. Yeah. I took a seat on the bench nearby and simply watched the petals ripple across the wall. I've had those who spent hours just staring. Time doesn't move here. It's quite beautiful, is it not? Memento. Tell me. Yeah? When the last organism dies, what becomes of you? Eventually, all life in the universe will be extinguished at some point, yeah? When the universe collapses in on itself, heat death, I believe it's called. Never given it much thought. I suppose then we Reapers may disappear as well. What of before? What were you before life first sprang from carbon? Memento approached the flowers and gently produced a long, gorgeous lily from it. Its petals radiate in the deepest, most brilliant red. Its stem lithe, like a silk scarf, encircled his finger. Memento placed the flower in my lap. Where were you before you were born, Mori? Do you recall that? He said, staring back at me with a distant expression. You've shown me a lot, Mori. More than I could have ever hoped for. I know none of this is easy, but let me impart some perspective that may comfort you. Perhaps it may help you accept what's to come. Memento sat right beside me and tenderly placed a paw on my shoulder. We went through eternity once. What's another one to you? Well, life is just an impossibly thin line between two forevers. Relative to that thin line, the experience varies wildly. Some get to be wealthy beyond their wildest dreams, to control and shape the world to be writ into the annals of time, remembered and celebrated for generations. Others, well, die in their 30s, miserable, alone, forgotten. We all end up in the same place. We all come from the same place, but that thin line will always be unequal. Some just get to be happier, and that's it. So, Why couldn't I be happy? It's so unfair. Memento stood silently and stared into the wall. Perhaps it is. Perhaps that inequality is just the fundamental truth of the universe. Just as I am. I stood up and faced the wall. I think I'm ready. You sure? There's still time to... Memento. Please. Memento bit his lip in a bitter expression before stepping aside, allowing me to approach. Time felt as though it had slowed to a crawl. 1 step, 2 step, 3. My nose was now grazing the petals of the wall. They danced and flickered in and out, as if assuring me that everything would be fine, that everything would be okay. No smell, no sensation, nothing. I took one last breath and... Wait! A vaulted paw seized my hand firmly. Wait, just one moment. Memento. I felt a pair of cool, fuzzy arms wrap around me. I'm sorry, Mori. Was he sobbing? I'm sorry for everything. They had to live like that. That you had to die like that. All of this. It's so unfair. Why? Why did you have to suffer? And this is all you get in the end? This is all that awaits you and everyone else in the world? I've spent so long detached from you humans. Your lives, a foreign concept. Now, what is this? This feeling inside of me. It hurts. It hurts so much. The wolf sobbed deeply into my chest. Memento. He bawled, howls piercing the silence. Why does it have to hurt? I held Memento close and rubbed the back of his head. It sucks, I know. Believe me, I know more than anyone. I hate that this has to end this way, Memento. But you won't remember me. In 1,000 years, I'll just be another one of the bunch. It's okay, I'm just not important. No, I don't want to forget you. I don't want to forget anyone. The people I've led here, their smiles, their sorrows. I understand. I understand now the injustice of it all. You, everyone else. I don't want forever. I don't want to change in 1,000 or million years into someone completely different. I don't want to not love anymore. I betrayed your trust. I deceived you to lead you here after everything that's happened. It was inconsolable. I'd never seen anyone cry so harshly. His voice hoarse, with adult wailing and screams of tears that clattered onto the ground. Just, please, let me go. I can't forget about this all. Memento, I'm tired. If there is nothingness, then fine. At least it stops. I raised and dashed my hopes, but hey, doesn't matter now, does it? Memento started to calm down and look towards me. I know. I know that I must. He wiped his tears off with his tail and took a deep breath inwards. Mori, if it means anything. Memento drew closer to me. May I ask you one more thing? Just one more thing. Before you depart. What is it? Can you teach me how to dance? What? Before I knew it, the world melted around me once again. What? I'm in space! This is... What? We're in space! To my right, galaxies light years away. To my left, planets and moons colored purple, blue, green, and silver dance around brilliant nebulas. It was a tornado of red petals, spinning and swimming like a school of tropical fish through a sea of stars. Memento! Where is this? Where the stars went. Her home. Her wonderful home. There were no bounds. Nothing keeping me grounded. I twirled around and a plume of petals surrounded me. I'm dancing with the wolf in space! What sort of fever dream is this? Memento floated up towards me, flowers now erupting from his tail. He slid a paw on my shoulder, another in hand. Like this? I looked into his eyes, radiating with wonder. One last chance, one final moment. Ah, man. No. What's going? I am turning to stars. What's going on? Why is Memento blushing? What is happening? Like this. I am dancing in space! What is going on? Memento took to the choreography quickly. Our stage, a galaxy. Our audience, the stars. The memories of the waltz returned to me immediately, as though I had just practiced them yesterday. But this time, I felt confident, more fluid, more alive than any of my previous performances. Memento and I danced across the cosmos, our gazes locked into each other's. This feeling, my heart, my chest, chills, fluttering, it's all so much. Is this what you humans call romance? Is this love? I simply stared at the wolf and smiled. It was certainly no Fred Astaire. His movements were sloppy and he couldn't stop jittering. At one point, Memento tripped over my feet and we tumbled together into a pool of glimmering stars. The stars were warm and Memento's body was like a heavy blanket weighing down on me. Despite the slip-up, neither of us could shake the smiles that were plastered on our faces. We laughed together before Memento picked me up again and we continued the dance. Why can't we just fade into the stars and dance for all eternity? The waltz must end, Memento. The show must stop. Otherwise, why would we ever cherish it? This one wonderful moment together. We progressed into the next step and the next. The time for the finale was approaching, but yet we savored every moment of our dance. As we ramped up to the conclusion, as the final steps approached, it all stopped. Yes, was that it? No, there's one last step. And what is that? Of course I kissed the wolf! Of course! We knew this was coming! We knew this was coming the moment Memento started pulling off his pants! Oh, Lord! Oh, wow. And back to nothingness. I can hold her hand, if you want. It won't make you disappear too, will it? Memento shook his head. Nah, nothing can. Thank you, Memento. Thank you for being with me. Memento grinned. It's what I do. It's just how I am. I simply smiled back at him, rested my head on his chest. It was warm? For once, the wolf was actually warm. We both stepped forward and plunged into the flowers. Oh. Oh, wow. That was absolutely gorgeous. What the hell? I absolutely love visual novels like these. God, and I don't know, guys. I don't know how you guys feel about furry visual novels. I do enjoy them. I'm a bit worried about picking them up in case like you guys don't really like them. But hey, if you guys want to see more of these, let me know in the comments below. And speaking of what's down there, hey, if you guys want to play this for yourself, link to the game is also in the description below. And yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely rest of the day. And as always, I'll be seeing you in the next video. This is Lion, signing off. Ciao.